Hey, it's tea time with
Kelly?
Tea.
and Lee. So what's the tea?
I don't
What are
even know
you
what I have
sipping on?
today. Yeah, what do you have today, Lee?
So, y'all
What
know
what did what did Marcus
Period.
bring today?
so
I feel like
Marcus
she made this yesterday.
yeah, I actually had this yesterday. Marcus purchased the Ninja Slush Eye and he bought a whole bunch of things from our local wine and spirits. And I actually made my drink today. I put some tequila and some strawberry margarita mix. I asked them what I should make. I said strawberry regular, and Kelly was like,
I said, I like peach. I'm feeling peach.
not the what was not an option. But anyways, this is a strawberry margarita mix. And it's really good. I added a little wine, a little rosé for
You're just a little mixologist today.
that's where the color's coming from, and it's delicious.
Period.
So tequila, margarita mix, and wine.
A little rosé.
That sounds like a hangover in a cup.
Tequila and wine when you're trying to have a good bleeping time.
That sounds like I gotta call in tomorrow.
Kelly,
what it
what do
sounds
you have to drink?
I actually forgot what was in my cup. I forgot what was in my cup. Hold on.
Got her drinking her two-step.
I think this is pineapple Moscato,
Okay.
which is tasty. I don't know, like, I feel so basic because, it's like, I'm a whole lot grown up, and why am I still drinking the fruit flavored Moscatos? Like, what am I doing? But they're so good.
Happy.
So tasty. And I can't drink to save my life. That third child took it up out of me. I can't drink, but I do like them. They're tasty. And, easy on the palate. So, yeah, that's what I have.
And I just have some ice cold water.
That's what I need.
Hydration.
Hydration.
Because the way I be dehydrated. Why are you so tired, Kelly? Drink some water.
First thing in the morning, and then the rest of the day is just water.
So y'all know how I feel about fantasy. I absolutely adore fantasy. But I love fantastical elements. And granted, please know that I might have made up this genre.
I was going to say, what are fantastical elements? You're going to have... So, okay, I think we have to take a step back and acknowledge the fact that Lee has been shepherding us through this world of fantasy. I think I've read one prior to engaging with you. And Lee, or T, have you read any before?
I just found out recently that one of the books that I read when I first came back to reading was considered fantasy. So yes, I read one book before I met you guys.
So collectively, we had two under our belts before we met Lee. And so every time you drop something on us like we know what you're talking about, remember you got to take a step back and educate us. So what are fantastical elements? Even if you made it up, what is that?
So please know that hardcore fantasy people might be like, what is she talking about? But okay. So we talked about last time, you have fantasy and you have romantasy, right? Romantasy is a newer genre. And I feel like romantasy is hardcore trial, high stake fantasy, but there is kind of like a smut or romantic element weaved through it. I feel like fantastical elements are different. There is fantasy, think like different creatures, think like lore, think magic, but the stakes aren't high, right? It's not like, when we're talking about things like the Final Strife, or when we're talking about things of Children of Blood and Bone, or even when we're talking about Fourth Wing, like there's very clear marks that make it traditional fantasy or even romantasy, where fantastical elements, it's like you could be someone who doesn't read fantasy at all, but you could appreciate like the magic system, and you don't need to have to go into large detail about the world. You don't need a map. Like you don't need all of those things that typical fantasy would give you. Fantastical elements are mostly, in my opinion, romance, not to be confused with romantasy, right? But I feel like it is quirky, smut, mixed with the things that we love about fantasy the most, which are magical creatures. So I don't know if y'all ever heard of like Ice Planet Barbarians, or No, okay. So
Do they
essentially,
have rotating members?
yes. So essentially, it's
Okay.
a whole genre.
I'm listening.
It's a whole genre of books that are fantastical elements, right? So there's creatures, there are monsters, there's aliens, any type of werewolves, right? Vampires, any type of paranormal or fantastical creatures that we know and love. But they're set in a very like clear backdrop. Like those people invaded Earth somehow ended up, whether that they were dropped from a river, dropped from a planet or a spaceship. Think about the movies that you grew up watching. I don't know if you grew up watching like Coneheads or anything like that. To me, that's fantastical element. Even E.T., right?
Like Killer Clowns. First of all, E.T. gives me nightmares. Don't play about E.T. It's too late. Too late in the
Too
evening.
late, Miss Thriller.
I don't do E.T.
I watch Murder Mystery Crime.
but I don't do E.T. That little thing freaks me out.
But you see how it was set in the real world, but it was like some type of magical element. And so to be clear, it doesn't have to be smut, but I find the ones that I like the most are like set in a real world backdrop with fantastical elements and smut, right? And
I think I would enjoy that. I think that's something I would enjoy. Because I think we talked about that before, where I was like, why can't they be in New York City?
they can be. Now, typical,
Why do they have to be in some fake place that it takes you 10 chapters to build, mind you?
so
Just put me in Manhattan.
of fantasy, people love the fact that, there's new names for things. Like there's different names for animals. There's different names of world. Like people speak different languages. They have different curse words. Like fantastical elements, it's not like that. It's a very comfortable world, and it's oftentimes people's toe into the fantasy world, right?
So is the one that we read the kooky one? That was Fantastical Elements then. The Carls?
Okay, so I'm glad that you said that. It could be fantastical elements. Now, personally, I would call the Carls a sci-fi fantasy.
Okay.
Because, right, what she's referring to as an absolutely remarkable thing by Hank Green. Essentially, it's like this being that just pops up out of nowhere, and that is fantastical elements. And we later find out that, spoiler alert, they're aliens. Yes. But what makes it sci-fi is like there's specific parts in the book where we're trying to figure out what element Carl's made out of, and will he like combust. And so, yes, it is, but I would call that like a cross genre of like fantastical elements with like literary fiction, with also speculative fiction, and also some sci-fi fiction. Yeah. But essentially you're thinking correctly when you're taking present day backdrop, putting a fantastical element in it, right? And you could understand the Carls, right? Or an absolutely remarkable thing without somebody needing to draw you a map, or without you feeling like you had to go get a dictionary and look up all of these made up words, right? Or like even feel like, oh gosh, I can't pronounce this stuff. So oftentimes when I meet people who either have been done really dirty by fantasy, and what I mean by that, like they've tried several times and can't get in the genre, or people who feel like I just have a limited amount of time. I can't commit to an 895 page book. But I want to dip my toe. But I want to dip my toe in like this fantasy world. Then I will usually recommend something like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. But yes, I am she. She is me. Y'all in these fantasies with these big bags.
First of all, maybe it's because I'm cheap, but y'all know I'm on a book buying ban. But even before I was on a book buying ban, I felt like I was getting more for the price of my money. So I quite literally used to walk into my local Barnes and Nobles as a teenager. And this is when books, you could actually get a book for $10. Y'all remember that? And I would walk in there with $30. I'm like, well, I get 3 books. And I purposely would pick the 3 biggest books with the biggest spine. Because I felt like, one, I felt like I was getting more for my money, but also like, I get very invested in the characters I read about. The longer the book, the more we're together and we're in a world together.
I agree. That's exactly why I love a series, a good long series.
No, go ahead.
Twilight. What is Twilight? Is Twilight fantasy?
I would consider Twilight fantastical elements, right? Because it was set in Forks, Washington, even though Forks wasn't a real place. We know Washington and everything about them describing the weather and the overcast is accurate.
Okay.
And then you have a very much so human girl, but then the love interest with an S, because it's a whole Team Jacob, whoever. They were fantastical beings living in a very much so real world. So I would consider that fantastical element.
Now, have you read Twilight?
Ahead of the curve.
Well,
Have you read Twilight? Have you read it yet?
I haven't read it. I watched the movies first, and then I was talking to somebody, and they were like, I have the books if you want to read them. When I tell you was dead for a week because I'm up till 2 a.m.
I haven't seen the movies or read the books, and I know that's like unheard of, but I was just like, why do I want... He's like, why is Edward shimmery? Why is he a shimmery? Vampire's supposed to be scary.
Because it's fantastical. That's why.
But let me just say this. That was a time to be alive.
Absolutely.
Okay? What a time
I remember
to be alive.
see the third movie. I think on like opening night, it was packed. The girls were out there. It was a great time.
Let me tell you something. I miss that feeling. Not necessarily the books, but that feeling of when you discover something that makes you want to stay up all night, to T's point, or even that makes you want to run to the store. Like, that was the first time ever where my mom couldn't get to Walmart quick enough, right? And so I remember at the time she was dating this guy and he was trying to impress her. So he just bought me the rest of the series. He's like, you read the first one too fast. Like, why are we doing this? Let's just buy the whole rest of the series. And it was there. And I miss that. And I think as a young girl, I was just so in love with the fantastical elements, right? Like, because let's be real, there was no real like smut or anything in Twilight. Like, it was very YA appropriate. It was like, it was very much so pining and yearning.
Yes.
Like, I'll never forget the scene where they was in the tent and they just laid on top of each other and he just laid his, and we were like, like, whatever. But my point is, it was, I don't think those books would...
There's fantastical elements in edging, is what you're telling me?
Pretty good. I mean, or at least where the genre started. The genre evolves. Just like one episode we talked about romantasy and how the romantasy genre is evolving. I would say Twilight is probably some of the first, not the first, but some of the first fantastical elements. It definitely has evolved and gotten better. I don't think Twilight would hit the same if I read it again. First of all, the fact that the main character is like 16 and he's like 989,000 years old, like, it just...
Yeah, I'm still going to buy the series for when I get a bookshelf to put it on there, but I don't think I'm going to go back to revisit.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with that because it takes you back to your roots. It reminds you why you started reading paranormal or fantastical elements in the first place.
Now, T, do you think you'll go for a special edition when you get them?
No.
So I will say this. That is confession moment, because we listen and we don't judge.
No.
That is...
You judge.
That is truly what got me wanting to read fantasy, is the books are just...
The books do be beautiful.
Gorgeous. Yeah. I mean, like, I'll be in the bookstore and you just can't... And I'm reading the synopsis and I'm like, I don't want to read this book. But you're looking at it, you're like, but it's just phenomenal. So, like...
They say don't judge a book by its cover, because we would literally have random stuff on our bookcases because... But look how pretty this is.
And I have to stop myself all the time from buying a book that I will not read.
Right.
Because I feel like Greek mythology, fantasy... And there's another genre. I feel like they're just always gorgeous. They're just always beautiful covers.
They put really real time and get real artists.
Yes. And don't spray them edgy.
It looks like texture.
So before I was on a book buying ban, because I did closet tea, I did subscribe to Satisfaction Book Box, which is a Black-owned book box that only does like fantasy or like sci-fi genre.
I follow them on socials.
Granted, they have a wait list and their edges are sprayed, and I like it because, first of all, special editions are pricey, but it was like, I think theirs was reasonable. Theirs was always between $60 and $75, but it's not monthly, it's bi-monthly. And so I was like, okay, like, that was something that I allowed myself to splurge on, because I was like, okay, small Black-owned business, but it also allows me to get these beautiful, like, fantasy. And now I have, oh my god, I have a shelf full of them and it's just gorgeous. And like, I have them lined up by their outer.
Yeah, the spine is in. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, so cover snob. I appreciate that she's doing that for fantasy because, I mean, for romance. Because I'm like, we want them edges sprayed. I want foil. I want it all.
I want it all.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to have to buy fantasy books. So yes, shout out to Cover Snob. I did follow the one that you just talked about because yeah, that's the one thing that gets me about fantasy is like, baby, half of your budget from your book deal had to go to the cover art, had to, and I appreciate it because they're stunning. And don't let it be a beautiful brown skinned girl on the front.
Right.
Takes me every time. Every time.
So on my shelf, I quite literally have the Final Strife series displayed, and then I also have the Children of Blood and Bone series displayed.
I have to get the last one of Final Strife, the one with Hassa on it.
Also have
I think which one is that? What's the third one?
The Ending Fire.
Yeah,
is that the red cover?
No, that's the white one with Hassa on the cover.
I was gonna say Book Outlet has the red one. FYI.
No, yeah, that's where I got the first two with Honor and Sila. I just gotta get the last one.
I also have Beast of Prey by Ayana. I want to say Ayana Gray displayed on because it's just to your point, T. The brown girls on the cover.
Yes, and don't let it be like a full coily, curly. Don't let it be a whole.
And I read, that's how I got into. I think it's called This Poison Heart. It had a black girl with big hair.
Yes.
And it said, "Finna pick you."
I choose you.
Got you.
I came in here for smut, but I choose you.
I choose you.
You're coming home with me. Yeah, they're gorgeous. So like the Legacy of Orisha series, I feel like her covers just kept getting better. So like Children of Blood and Bone, I was like, ooh, beautiful cover. And then Children of Anguish and Anarchy was the last one. I was just like, I love this cover. So and that's such a superficial thing, but I love that about fantasy though, is that it's going to give you a cover. It's gonna give everything with that cover.
And so what I like about Fantastical Elements, or at least the ones that I'm into now as an adult, is I realize I like the ones that are very smutty and spicy because I feel like it merges my two loves of the genre, which is, erotica or like a more darker romance, right, with fantasy. And what I love about the covers are they're just vivid, beautiful, but they also are giving, y'all remember the historical fiction covers by like Beverly Jenkins where like it would be like two lovers like splayed on each other. And I love Fantastical Elements books because you get that, but you get the human and the monster.
Yeah.
And they're like
embrace it
up on each other, like
laying out in the meadow. Yeah.
Like old Avant book covers. Y'all remember when Avant, and actually I think they still do have book deals. Like it's giving that realness.
Yes.
And so of course it doesn't surprise anybody that I forced these two to read not one, but two books that I would consider fantastical element books.
And a time was had.
Surprise, surprise.
It was one of those things where you're like, I don't want to read this. Like, what are you talking about?
Period.
And then it's like you get to like chapter 1, page 1 of Demon Boyfriend was
Booty Juice.
Booty Juice. And then I knew I was a fan. I was like, I'm going to read this in one sitting because that was the first sentence.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Booty Juice on my seat. Girl, booty, like for real, booty juice?
Booty juice.
Absolutely. And what I love about it is, we admitted that our first kind of experience with Fantastical Elements weren't Black authors. What I love is that it's a diverse group of people now writing these, so you can kind of dip your toe with any type of, authors. But the two that we're talking about specifically are Black women authors, which was really fun. So let's talk about the first one by Miss Jessica Cage. The book is called I Accidentally Summoned a Demon Boyfriend. And quite literally, we meet Raina, who's in her late.
Let me tell y'all before she gets into it that Black girl that live in the South and demons don't really go that well together. So I was real scared. Okay? I was
She said, not today, Satan.
Quite literally, our group chat kept calling it the demon porn book. And so no, like for a while that was the name of the book. And I feel like they were scared to start it because they were like, what do you mean demons? Like, describe what you mean.
Because all my life I have been told, you invite that into your life. You don't watch, you don't read that devil. No.
Absolutely. And I said, just take this ride with me, please.
And riding with your little sister will always get you into trouble. Let that be a lesson to us all.
Most definitely. But we're going to have a good time.
But they enjoyed themselves.
So much so that we signed up for the next arc. That's how much we enjoyed ourselves.
Ran to the arc, actually.
Ran to it because I couldn't wait to read about Raina's friend and what we got with.
Because if I like demon porn, I'm most likely going to love vampire porn.
I think you will.
How could I not?
Exactly.
Well, so this book follows Raina, who from starters, I loved her because she's in her late 30s. And I feel like oftentimes when we're reading books, everyone is
22, 23.
Right. And so it was nice to see a confident, sexy, self-assured woman, real strong FMC type character. But the one thing she does not have luck in is what, ladies?
Love.
And
dating. It was a disaster. And so she quite literally curled up with a book and a bottle, not a glass, a bottle of wine. And when she got inebriated enough, she, as a joke, opened one of her fantasy novels and read a spell out loud. And, you know,
she
thinking
said,
it was a joke.
Ingredients. Let me grab some lavender, and that's where she went wrong. She lighting candles and grabbing herbs and spices and goat's feet. Don't do that.
She's pronouncing things with perfect diction.
Can we just appreciate that? I love a book that has a reader in the book. Like, and it wasn't just like a passing notion. It was like, oh, she found this in the book. Like, it was a reoccurring theme. It's like, I can't go to hell. What about my books? And he was like, girl, we got books. Like, I love that she was.
So bad.
So I love that it wasn't like just thrown in there like cheap, like, oh, I got this from a book. Like, no, she was about her books. It came up several times about her books, and, you know, I ain't got time to run around a hill without my books, bro. Go get my books.
A girl after our own heart. So she said what she needed to say. She fell asleep. Okay? And the rest was history. Okay.
Yeah, and then she forgot to say, "Psych, Jesus, cover me by the blood." Because when she woke up, it was in her room.
In the name of Jesus.
But I think what was wild was there was a demon in her room, and she instantly was sexually attracted to it. And a time was had, and then she was like, "Oh, I'm
the
demon."
gates of hell prevail. That's what happens. You're attracted. I mean, he was described real nice.
Because, and if I remember correctly, because she was kind of like in this fugue state, right? She was like, is this real or is it not?
Right.
And she's like, if this is going to be the best dream of my life, it's going to be the best dream of my life.
She quite literally said, I'm going to grab it by its horns and ride it. If this is...
She literally said, I'm going to save a horse and
ride a cow. Ride a demon. That's what I'm going to do today. And as I'm going, I'm like, and turn page.
Okay.
And let's continue to read because...
Let me just say that once I read about a rotating member, no books hit the same for me for a while. I said, oh, that's it?
Because this is regular. Oh,
that's it?
No, I need more. I need more.
I do need more.
So yes. So that was our first kind of, how we dipped our toe in the genre. But I have some questions for you ladies about the books.
Already?
So I'm gonna start with T. Okay?
Okay.
If you could accidentally summon anything
It wouldn't be a
Right.
demon, I promise.
It wouldn't be a demon, but what would it be?
Oh,
And remember, we listen and we judge, but come on with it.
it would probably be a werewolf.
Okay.
Because they known to shapeshift, so, he could dress up real nice during the day. And then at night,
And be with
we
you.
howling at the
You have to
moon.
do?
Oh,
Okay, Kalindra, what are you shape shifted into reality?
And you know what? It's gonna be werewolf again, but for different reasons.
okay.
So I'm gonna give you a little backstory. So before I started my book stuff, because this is where I was like, I gotta start reading fantasy. So y'all know, and I don't know what it's called. So if you know, tell me. How there's these platforms where these authors can write books and you can read them as they go. And I feel like they were showing up on my Facebook like crazy. And I got into one, and it was about a werewolf family. And then I got into another one and another one. And I think what drew me to the whole werewolf thing was it's very much touch her and die vibes every time. Every time. And it's very much fated mates because they bond.
They imprint.
Yeah, the imprint. And so I was like, why am I enjoying this? This is not okay. But I was in a chokehold. I was in a literal chokehold. And again, I'm that same person who was like, Twilight, why would you want to wear up in a vampire? And then I read those. And again, those aren't even considered indie authors. Those are just people just putting their work out there. Like they're not, baby, that is some gold. If you have never run across them, and I wish I remember what platform it was on. Oh, they were tasty. So that's the main reason why, is because my eyes were opened at that time to all the wonderful things that a werewolf can do if you just give him a chance. He just needs a chance.
If you just give him a chance.
Just give him a chance.
What you got, Lishandra?
I'm going with a beast, but I know that doesn't surprise anybody. So, okay, before y'all say anything,
Surprise, surprise.
before y'all say anything, do y'all see, like, first of all, people are so talented on the internet. So I wish I could.
AI.
Or maybe it's AI, but have y'all been seeing where, like, it'll be like a beautiful woman, and then behind them would be like a lion, but it'll be like all muscly and
Or like in a suit, or like a samurai.
Like biceps off, and you just see him like
exactly. But like I've been seeing ones reimagine like the Beast from Beauty and Beast, but he's like brown and he has fur, but he also has like really VDE energy. But here's the thing about me. I like to feel small. I mean, granted, Kelly's gonna roll her eyes when I say this, but like
Try not to.
I'm 5'8", which is pretty tall-ish for a woman. And my husband,
the average woman.
my husband's 6'9". I like to feel small.
I do too. Thanks. This doesn't happen often.
And so something about, y'all know how I am about Beauty and the Beast. Something about her feeling small and loved and kidnapped. But not against her will. Not against her will.
Soft kidnapping.
A soft kidnapping. Soft one.
Like, it does not surprise me at all. But then I
It
feel
doesn't
like,
surprise any of us.
but even still at that, I'm like, oh, I can see that. And I think that's what caught me off guard, is I was like, why am I into this? Like, it wasn't just like, oh, I read it, and then, like, I can see. No, I was into it.
Yeah. I was a little upset with myself. I said, Lord, please don't.
But you know what's funny? Because even in our book club, right, Beauty Brains and book club, when we were reading it, I remember like dropping the name and the cover, and I remember everybody, like half of the group was judging, but there was like
wooden crosses and metal stakes.
But there was 2 or 3 people that was like, "Oh, is it on KU?" Like there was a few people that was
That's for friends.
Go in like a separate DM. Like I can't let the rest of the people know that I'm trying to get in. So
yeah.
And you're trying to justify it. You're like, well, if it's on KU, I'll read it. Because, you know.
I'm already paying for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's practically mine already. So if it's there, I'll read it. Fine.
But that was me like, open your mind. But honestly, it was when I told them there was a rotating number, they was like, oh.
Yeah,
sign me up.
horns. But then the horns.
The retractable. They could go up and down.
The horns, baby. The horns.
Okay. So yes. So we know that, like we said, Raina is a strong FMC. If we were going to create a soundtrack for this book, what song maybe would you give Raina? I probably would do
The
bump and grind.
little bump and grind.
not an Ellie song.
It fits. He's a creep, and so was she.
Very much so. Very much.
But I will give you that, because what they was doing was bumping and grinding. Amen, church.
I'm trying to think, because I usually put a lot of thought into the songs that I put on my post, because I want them to match. And so I don't know what song I picked for this, but I feel like it's almost like a double-edged sword, because you want it to be a little grimy, but at the same time, you want it to be like, I don't know. I really don't know.
I'm gonna go back and see what song I used.
I was like, I found it, but I'm like, what song? Like, I must have really dug deep. I'm gonna have to, let me see if I can, without distorting the volume on this bad boy.
Bye, Calindra.
Really? Who is that by?
King Von. It was called Demon. He said she turned me
Yeah.
into a demon. I was like, and did. So I guess that'd be the one I would pick, because the song is about this girl who just brings it out of him, turned him into a demon.
Ooh. Well, let's see. What song did I use? Oh, okay. Okay. But I feel like the song I used was more about Matisse than about Raina. But I used Ego by Beyonce.
Okay.
Oh,
So it's too big. It's too high.
Ego.
It's too strong.
It won't
Oh, okay. It's too much.
because he can make it. He got a big ego.
He's got a big ego. No, I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Yeah.
I was thinking for Raina, Miss Independent, because like, ooh, there's something about like Matisse was really smitten by Raina, and he wanted to fight it so bad, he just could not fight it.
But I think it's that whole, when you can see something in someone and you realize it's a positive trait, not negative. Like, how many books have we read where the main female character, when they're strong, everyone else they've dated, it was a problem, right? And then they meet that one who was like, that's not a flaw, right? He's like, you're my mate, like you're my person, and all that you are is exactly what it should be.
Hundreds of years.
Yeah. And I was just waiting for you to, swipe right on Tinder. And you did that one drunken night, and so now I'm here.
I was just waiting for you to summon me.
Which he would have been waiting for the rest of his life, because there's no way in the world. I didn't even read the thing. I skipped over that because I can't.
I really
know it's real.
My mother was in my head, and I was like, I can't do that part. I have to wake up tomorrow.
I read it, but I didn't read it out loud. I was like, oh no, it's gonna stay with me.
I said, oh, that's cute, girl. Scroll.
Skip it. Yeah. You ain't gonna be waking up tomorrow and you making eggs in my kitchen. Like, we can't have that. Isn't it funny how those kind of things still be in the back of our heads? It's like, I will read this whole book, but I will skip over the incantation. I can just.
We not finna set up no seances around here. No mama say, mama saw Michael start going on over here.
Well, I guess that leads to my next question. If you were gonna cast a spell, what would you wish for if not for a demon?
Why can't I wish for the demon?
I mean, I said if not the demon.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, I feel like the free gift with purchase was everything it needed to be with the demon. Because it's like, I would like to say I'd be noble in that, and wish for something like world peace or something. No, like if I'm gonna be conjuring up, risking it all, because again, we don't know what this incantation is gonna do. Like if I'm gonna risk it all, it's gonna be pretty self-serving. I'm sorry, like it's gonna be something I'm gonna enjoy, and now I can't unsee a demon. So because he was a man, like again, like we always talk about Twilight, he was. I know he was a demon, but he was a man.
He sure was.
Now his flaw. Let's talk about his flaw though. His ex. Now that's one thing I did not need in this book. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Why did her? We needed her.
We didn't, because she was doing a little bit too much, and
so I enjoyed it because it gave quest vibes. Because they had to go on a quest to save Matisse and get rid of her. But if it wasn't for the ex, she wouldn't have realized that she had powers of her own. Right. Which is what I liked about this book. It wasn't
happening in jail. Didn't something like real? The things were happening.
Yes. I mean, it's been a minute since we read this book, but so I'm a get
because she looking.
So it's we're talking about when he was taken away and they were holding him hostage in her little sex dungeon thing.
Yeah.
So one of the things I really like about the book is that he could feel when she was in distress, right? But
it's giving dragon.
They essentially tricked him into thinking she was in distress when it was really to snatch him. Right? If I can remember correctly. And then it was like, okay, it was now Raina's time to go save her man. But what I liked about it was in X messing with her, she realized she can shift and jump between worlds and just do all this cool stuff. And her power would have been completely dormant if it wasn't for the case of
her being in duress. Yes.
But I'm just saying, like, he would just have another thing. Like, it was really, because I felt like, let me tell you why I didn't like it. Because I felt like we were tiptoeing into miscommunication. Because it was like, oh, you didn't know we were supposed to be together. Oh, our families are this and da-da-da-da. I was like, are we finna get into one of these situations where it's like, oh, fine, I'm gonna leave him alone because I don't want to fight. I think that's where I was like, ugh, I didn't want to go here. So I just
knew Raina wasn't about to leave him alone. If even though it was a mistake and she was drunk, she sat there and said out loud with perfect diction and incantation, she deserved that man. She was not just gonna give him back without a fight. Okay, we here. I've already held the horn.
But also, what about the witch that dunked her in the water?
Her. It was like, just trust me. Come into the water. And it was like,
give me a kiss.
And again, I'm like, and turn page. Got to see it through, my boy, because I don't know where this is going. But I'm gonna wade in this water with you, and I'm gonna get this lifeless feeling until I'm feeling everything.
I gotta just.
And that sounds like these authors, like Jessica, come forward. Where did you get this?
Twice, because her book that came out on March 4th ain't no better.
I'm like, y'all got to help me understand how when you were typing, you was like, oh, this is it.
But what you know what
happened next? He's already rotated his member. She's already rode him with the horns. Oh, I know. Let's bring her into a celestial body of water and just give her all the feelings with another person.
But you know what? Maybe I'm nasty. I enjoyed the witch being like, I mean, I just wanted to make sure that she was where she wanted to be. Because if she wasn't happy with you, she could come home.
I have a space for you.
You know, and
we could be this. We could be us.
And I just, and the crazy thing was she made him watch.
I
was like, this book is giving everything I didn't need in a book.
The water is allergic to clothes because they was not dressed.
No, they was in the buff.
Listen, I enjoy every part of it. Okay, and
it was. Why was it good? And that's what I kept telling myself, like every day when I would end my reading from our chapters, I'm like, why is it that I cannot wait to see what happens tomorrow? Like, this was supposed to be the one who was going to be hee hee ha ha in the chat, like, Lee, you got us reading this stupid book. Oh my God, why is she with a demon? I'm just like,
wait for us.
And at the time, I want to say we were reading two books together. And we were reading a book for the book club. And why was this our favorite read? I think that
we talked more about this one. Yes.
Yeah. And this one was supposed to be comedic relief, but it was like, oh,
we get into it.
They get nasty. Okay. Okay.
Real nasty and real quick.
The only thing I would have changed personally about the spell is I would have asked for two of them. That's all. That's it. That's all.
You always feel like you need two when you don't. You're not a fictional character, Lee. You're a real person who only needs one.
So are you saying that's what your incantation would be? If you had to summon, if you got your wish, you would be like, hey, just run me two. Just run me two. Now let me ask you this follow-up question. Do you want them both to have the same qualities, or do you want to mix it up? Do you want like tentacles on one and a rotating member on another?
Yeah, like what are we talking?
Okay, so something about the tentacles really upset my spirit. I don't want tentacles on one. But
you don't want all those tentacles coming at you at one time.
You gotta be tied down.
Okay, I will say, I wouldn't have wanted them to be the same thing. I would have wanted, something different. I probably would have wanted a werewolf or a beast for my second one.
Okay. Yeah.
But yes, I would have wanted them to be different. And
this is turning not into soft kidnapping. This is hardcore stuff now.
Okay, well, that's what I would have asked for.
Okay.
But I would have asked Santa Claus for.
But
Wonderful.
now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know why I'm surprised that I'm enjoying this, because I think we all, okay, let me not project onto people. Was I not the only one when you watched Lion King as a kid, and when Simba became teenage Simba, he was like, why is this whole lion looking sexy? And it was a whole lion.
That was just you, baby. And
Sir, I remember when Nala ran back in December. First of all, I was looking at Nala like, that girl don't grow.
So let me rephrase.
She did a little look over her shoulder to you, and she was like,
I said, Nala, don't hurt him, okay?
I don't know why I'm surprised.
That for Simba. But I did have that for Kovu. I don't know if y'all seen Lion King 2.
Too.
Kovu. Yeah. He was a chocolatey lion. Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, why was I surprised? And and this is also why I'm not surprised, because there's a character in Mortal Kombat. I don't know if y'all played video games as children, but Goro, he had 4 arms. And he was massive. And I remember thinking, like, Goro can get it.
Ain't it?
4 hands? Do you know what someone can do to you with 4 hands?
Can't kill you. In Mortal Kombat.
If it's my time, it's my time, T.
My God.
What a way to go. So I don't know why I'm surprised that these books are doing it for me. Because now that I'm thinking back, I'm like, there's moments where they were.
This is where that's where your lore started.
That I need to make my post, because I've been reading the post. I was like, I have nothing to relate to. I do. I actually do.
Y'all already know where my lore started. Beauty and the Beast. That's where it started for me.
Beauty and the Beast. That is your identity.
Yes.
Beauty and the Beast. Oh, so did you answer? What would you ask for? Even though we know you're not going to do that incantation.
I was about to say,
if you can order it 2-day shipping, Prime, what are you getting?
I don't know. Give me. Yeah, probably just a rich creature. I wouldn't call it a demon. I probably would never ask for a demon, but
I thought she was gonna say dragon. I literally thought you were gonna say dragon, because you've been feeling the dragons.
Because we did read a book with a shape shifting man that turned into a dragon, and that was kind of it. So you might be on that.
I really thought you was gonna say dragon.
Listen, I would say a dragon, a black dragon.
With good hair. Yep. Yep.
Okay, so lightning round. I just want y'all to give me an answer, no explanation. Okay. Spicy or slow burn?
Spicy.
Okay, I agree with that. Okay. Matisse's power or Reina's confidence?
Boy, if you don't give me Matisse's power and quit playing.
Give me the power.
I'm gonna agree with y'all, the power. Okay, so a steamy romance or an action-packed fantasy?
Action packed.
I'm going with the action as well.
Not Miss Thriller.
Steamy romance or action pack? Okay, action pack. Yeah,
Okay, all right. Okay, so a ride or die best friend or a sassy talking pet?
Best friend.
I would have said best friend 8 weeks ago.
Oh,
I want the pet too.
But these sassy animals?
We're gonna beat back in. I'm taking the sassy talking pet sidekick because I read a Kimberly Lemming book, her newest book. I accidentally am trapped in a wrong rom-com. I said the name of that title wrong, but she had a talking lion that was her pet. Made the whole book, and because her name was Dorothy, she named him Toto. So it was perfect.
What was the option again? Maybe I need to change it. Say it again. A ride or die best friend or a sassy animal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see where you guys went. I'm gonna take sassy animal for 300 Alex.
It's gotta be sassy. It's gotta be. It can't just be like
we don't want a regular animal because get away.
you gotta be giving me the business. Like 8 out of 10. Like I'm gonna need to be looking at you with a side eye because you're looking at me with the same set side eye. Yeah.
Okay, and so last question for this book: a demon soulmate or a regular billionaire book boyfriend?
Billionaire book boyfriend.
Give me a demon soulmate, baby, and drag me to the gates of hell so we can go and live in our world because hell was not what we think it is.
Yeah,
Hell was beautiful.
it was, and I'm scared still. So, just give me the money and pamper me up here on earth.
I'm gonna go with the demon soulmate because
Okay,
if
remind me when we meet up that I need to say all the blessings over my drink, over my food before I go to bed. When I wake, yeah.
I'm gonna go with the demon boyfriend because if he is who I think he is, he gonna rob all the banks in hell for us. So we gonna have
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're telling me, T, like really, like we know book bays are book bays, but let's be real, huh?
Yes, yeah, we're being for real. Billionaire boyfriend.
You're
A dark chocolate man with some grills, billionaire. Yes.
who said the demon gonna have girls?
It's not about him. It's about what he is.
I'm adding that to the list. Actually, don't you say it out loud? Yes, run the front because I need that now in the next book. But I'm just like, but with the demon thing, it's the simple fact that it's like fate. They're bonded and they're mated, and it's like you will forever be my person because there is no other person, and so you never have to worry about them looking the other way, or you ain't worry about nothing.
Billionaire. I think I'm okay.
She said what she said.
Now, you might think what I said was some BS, but I said what I said.
Well, we'll have our book club, Lee, in the 7th circle of hell. While our boos are out robbing the banks and
You know what, T?
do what they do.
You better not be calling us talking about it's a little quiet up here, it's a little boring.
He had to go to Japan for a meeting to make them billions, and we're gonna be like,
all these people is just singing with the heart.
I can't come back to Earth. Just come back.
oh, baby, what am I coming back for?
For me, obviously.
And we know Lee gonna be tied up because she wants 2 at the same time, so she's busy.
But no, Lee, let me tell you who Lee is going to be. Lee is going to be Raina in the middle of it. pop in her head. Dang, I wonder what T doing. End up on my coffee table. Why at my coffee table? Because she was the provisional thing, man.
It was the best. And she's looking like, it's like, wait. I can explain.
There are children here. Get up.
I think what was hilarious was she didn't just pop back. She stayed and had a whole conversation with her. Like, oh.
She said, "Give me some clothes, and we can. While I'm here, let's just sit down."
Wow, let's catch up. Let's have a kiki.
Right.
I know Matisse was pissed. Like,
where'd she go?
And she didn't come right back.
It was almost there.
And that's dangerous. Like, real talk, like being a woman and knowing how our minds travel like that, for real though, that's dangerous.
Just a second. It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? It was just a second of unfocusedness and she was worlds away.